What's going on, everybody? We are back with another podcast. And this podcast, obviously, thanks to Anderson, right? We got to give a special shout out to Anderson for always giving us the space to provide these podcasts. But this podcast today is very special. It's very special for numerous reasons because for the most part, you guys always see me talk about real estate or anything that's real estate related, but never about the topic that we're going to talk about today. And not only is today's topic is beautiful, not only is today's testimony, and I think the beautiful part about today too is that everybody has a story is what I've learned, right? And we're all brought here with the story, with the purpose. And today we have Clarissa from Casa Viva Church, which is a church that I actually, just started going to, I think back in April, thanks to Jenny, who invited me there. And I just really want to thank, Casa Viva Church. I want to thank Clarissa. I want to thank Pastor Josue, for opening their arms and welcoming me in, because it's been really life-changing in these past, I would say 6 months is what I was sharing with you, as we were getting in here. But today we're going to share Clarissa's testimony, her story, and something very special about it is what I was just telling her right now. It's like, man, I always just see you up there singing, so it's finally good, to be able to sit down with her and chat with her. So that's what we have for today, guys. We have a very beautiful testimony today. And Clarissa, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think I'm ready and I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
It's
okay. It's okay. I typically don't get nervous. I was nervous this morning. And I was like, as I was ironing my clothes, I was like, why am I nervous? I didn't understand. But what I really think it is just I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to be able to bring somebody's testimony to the sphere of influence, that we have. And I really believe that, and I want to thank Jenny also for making this connection as well, because I really do believe that this is going to impact somebody, whether if it's somebody that can resonate, with your story, whether if it's somebody who is just wanting to claim God, be a little bit more bolder about their faith, whether if it's somebody who is in a tough situation right now and they don't have a source to lean on, and at the end of the day, it's just going to be what God wants it to be,
Exactly.
But the most important thing is that, today we're here to share his goodness, to glorify him and to do some more things that we're not going to share right now. But Clarissa, I know that you're from Puerto Rico, right?
Actually from Kansas.
From Kansas?
Yes.
Family's not Puerto Rican?
Half my family's Puerto Rican.
Half of your family's Puerto Rican.
My mom's
Okay.
Puerto Rican.
Okay.
My dad's American.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you were born in Kansas.
So I was actually born in Georgia.
In Georgia? Oh my goodness, girl. Where are you from?
I was a military brat.
Okay.
So born in Georgia, lived in Germany about 4 years.
You lived in Germany?
Yeah, I have no memory of it.
Wow.
Then when I was 4, we moved to Kansas, and that's where I technically say I grew up.
Okay, but you were born in Georgia.
Yes.
My buddy, this is so weird. My buddy, I was just at the Latin Coalition Festival. His name is Alejandro. I just found out, I've known him, I think, for about like 2 to 3 years now. I just found out he was born in Germany. Because he was he was a military baby as well.
Yeah.
And he's Puerto Rican.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's probably like your long lost cousin.
Probably.
So it's just so weird that, just over this weekend, he was telling me that he was born in Germany. Now you're telling me that you used to live from Georgia to Germany, and then to Germany to Kansas.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So how old were you when you got to Kansas?
I was 4.
4.
Yeah.
Do you remember that age at all?
No. No
Okay.
recollection.
Okay. Only reason why I ask is because, like, I can't go that far back to my childhood. I don't know what it is, but I can only go back maybe, like, I remember wearing cowboy boots when we used to live in Texas to preschool. But that's like kind of like cowboy boots, it's kind of like cool. So it's something
Yeah.
I feel like that I keep with me, but besides that, it's very like on and off,
Yeah.
How far back do you go back? Like, is it 6 years old, 10 years old,
I was about to say, yeah, probably like 6 or 7.
6 or 7?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your like upbringing like?
It
Like
was
around that age?
It was pretty hard. My dad and my mom, they divorced when I was 4.
Okay.
And they both got remarried around the same time, probably when I was 4 as well. So moving from Germany, which I don't remember, and then to Kansas, having a new stepdad, a new stepmom, it was a little hard to adjust at first. I didn't like my stepmom at first. I would kick the back seat.
Really?
I didn't want to listen to her. And my stepdad, he came in strong, but he was like a father figure to me. So I met a lot of amazing people when I was so young, and they're still in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your family still in Kansas?
So growing up, a lot of them, like a couple of my aunts moved to Puerto Rico, and then a couple of them moved to Texas, so we were kind of all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually just became me and my stepmom. I would say like she adopted me, but I didn't have to go through that process. And eventually it was just me and her for a few years.
Okay. Did your
Yeah.
mom move to Puerto Rico?
She did, yes. She had married someone who wasn't too good, and we started going through some stuff. So she left Puerto Rico, and I had to stay with my dad. And he had remarried again to his current wife, and she's just amazing. And they ended up moving to Texas. And I was a stubborn teenager at the time. I think I was 13, maybe 14. And I didn't want to go to Texas, because going from my mom's and dad's, back and forth, I was moving schools all the time. So I didn't want to have to start over. I had all my friends. So I didn't want to go to Texas, so I stayed with my stepmom, and she took guardianship of me. So it was just me and her for a while.
In Texas?
In Kansas.
Oh, in Kansas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All over the place.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where are we about to go next? Because we're only like 3 minutes in, and we've been to Georgia, to Germany, to Kansas, to Texas, and then I got to figure out like what else did you go through on your way here to North Carolina?
Yeah.
I got to figure out what other states we went through. But when you say that like your mom married somebody or like where the situation wasn't too good, like what exactly do you mean by that?
Just a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, some abuse. I was around 12, and I had to make a hard decision, and I had to call the cops that morning, and it was a pretty rough time. And so she had went through some things, and we just, she couldn't afford where she was at the time, and her parents were in Puerto Rico. So she had to go to Puerto Rico.
Your mom's parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
To kind of get stable, to pick herself back up, So I understood, I was hurt, but I definitely understood. I think I was old enough at that time to know why, she left. And at that point, my dad was still in Kansas, and he had his current wife, so I moved in with him. She did have 4 younger children. There were 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so I was 13.
4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah. So I was definitely.
They probably drove you crazy.
Oh, they sure did. They sure did. But I love them. Growing up, because my mom left, and I have a younger brother, he has a different dad. And he went with his dad when my mom left. And because that happened, that relationship, that I had with my brother, it kind of dwindled. It was hard to see him. I couldn't see him as much. So having my step siblings, it was like a good fill in the heart, So it kept me busy. And then it was probably like less than a year later, I found out they were going to be moving to Texas. And so, man, I was like, I just moved to a new school. My freshman year of high school, I was there maybe like 6 months. And they're like, well, we're moving to Texas. I'm like, nope, I'm not.
Yeah.
And at the time, my dad's ex-wife, she was there since I was 4. She was my rock. And I couldn't leave her there alone. She came from England.
What?
Yeah, so she didn't have family,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt in my heart that, I had to stay with her. I couldn't leave her alone. And so my dad was like, okay, you stay with her. And she took me in, took guardianship, and it was me and her until I was 18.
Your stepmom
Yeah.
from England.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Everyone's everywhere.
Does she have the accent?
She does, yeah. It's not as strong now, but she still has it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Wow, shout out to her.
Yeah, she's
That's a
beast.
blessing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she was a big blessing and still is.
So I'm trying to like put myself in your shoes, when you're young and your mom is going through alcohol and her partner was also going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to put myself through your shoes. Like, do you remember those times?
I do.
Like, and if what exactly is it that you saw, and what sticks with you, from those times? Like, what memories do you still have, from those times?
Well, those times were pretty hard. My older sister, she was already, out of high school, so it was just me, my younger brother, and we were living with my mom and her past husband. And he was, he didn't think right. He was, for the streets. He was all about drinking and drugs, and he was pretty abusive to her. And, I remember waking up one night and, to the screaming and the hitting and, drinks flying. And, she told me to call the police. And it was a school night, so I had to call the police. I didn't know what to do. They were hitting each other, and, that's my mom. I felt like I needed to protect her. So I called the police, and they both ended up going to jail, and, man, that day is like stuck in my mind because the police had my mom, in the back car, in the back seat of the car, and I had to get to school. So the policeman took me to school with my mom in the back. And it was traumatizing,
Wow.
I was, I was a good kid in school, always got good grades, straight A's. And I remember that day, like, I lashed out. Like, there was this boy, he was just making fun of me, talking about me getting dropped off in a police car. And I think this was the meanest I've ever been with someone. I shoved him into the locker and I started yelling, but I think at the same time it was because I didn't know how to process everything that happened that day. And so I just took it out on the first person who was making fun of me. And it was hard, and after that, my mom got out, and she just couldn't afford where she was at the time, and so she had to leave. And I understood. Yeah, I was hurt. I was mad for a while, for a few years. I was very mad at her. I didn't want to forgive her. And she left, for a couple years, maybe like a year, to Puerto Rico. She tried to come back, and it just didn't work out. So she had to go back to Puerto Rico. And at the time, I was still living with my dad. And it was hard living with my dad, too. He wasn't the kindest person. I know it came from a good place, but it just came out the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like being with my dad. So I think I just kind of sheltered myself a bit. I was a little depressed, dealing with my mom leaving, and then, my dad found this new wife, and, I didn't like her at first. All these kids, and she came in strong. She has a big personality, and so do I. So I think we just clashed. And so it was hard living with my dad. I think that was another reason why I wanted to stay with my ex-stepmom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, when you say your father, that he was a bit tough, that he meant good,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I'm curious about that is because, nobody teaches us to be parents, and I feel like with my daughter, at time, I'm not saying it's the same situation, right? But it reminds me how, with my daughter has taught me how to be more gentle, more patient. She's like, don't scream at me.
No.
And I'm like, you're right. Check me.
Yeah.
I feel like I have my children or you have your loved ones for that reason, but what was that exactly like that you were getting from your dad? Was it like tough love or, was it, he was just very, like strict, or what exactly was that?
I would say both. So growing up, I didn't really grow up in church. My mom, we had a phase, I would say, where, my brother's dad, her ex-husband, they would go to church and I would go with them, but I didn't really understand what church was and who God was, what Jesus did. I didn't really pay attention. And going to my dad's house, he was atheist. At least I believe he was, because he didn't talk about God. I don't think he believed in God. We didn't talk anything about that. So, it felt like I was living two lives. And going to my dad's, he was a military person, so he was very strict, very harsh, tough love. And for a long time, I resented him. If I left the light on, I'd have to do 20 push-ups. If I
Really?
just little things. I would have to do wall sits. If I didn't flush the toilet. Just some examples. And a lot of the time, I was scared of him. I wouldn't say he was abusive, but he would hit me in ways that I don't think a father should hit their kid. And I know. Now, as a parent, now as, a Christian, I know that he didn't mean it in a harsh way. He meant it because he wanted me to grow up and be responsible and be respectful in society. And I mean, I am now, and now I look at it differently. But growing up as a kid, I resented him a lot. I would tell people, man, my dad's abusive. Man, I don't like being at my dad's. He hits me too hard sometimes. Like, it hurts to sit down sometimes. And, it feels weird talking about it. Like it was normal, but, and I know it wasn't. And, man, I'm just looking at it now. Like, he was a part of making me who I am today. And so I had a lot of forgiving, a lot of processing, a lot of patience that I had to deal with over the last decade or 15 years. And I didn't talk to my dad for many, many years. I didn't talk to him maybe about 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
I didn't see him for about 12 years. And it was hard growing up. I think I blocked out a lot of my childhood because of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a household where there's a lot going on, right? There's, with your mom and her partner, there's alcohol, there's fighting. I mean, you're getting dropped off in a police car, then you're at your father's house, and the push-ups, it just blew my mind.
Yeah, I had a 6-pack when I was 5. So, I mean, hey, it was nice at some point.
You were probably excelling in gymnastics or,
for sure.
On the football team, on the playground, hey, your daughter's hitting all the guys out here. And then you go to your dad's and it's a whole different experience of how you're being disciplined. How can you not block off your childhood? Is really the question. You were around 12 years old around that time, right? Around 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
When my mom left, I had to go with my dad around that time.
So while you were experiencing all of this, where were you mentally, if you remember? Emotionally, where were you?
I was all over the place. I didn't know how to process everything that happened with my mom. And then on top of that, when I was with my mom, she was moving around a lot. So I was starting new schools. But since she left, I had to go to my dad, start a new school. And, at one point in like 1 year, I went to 3 or 4 different schools. And it was hard, having to make new friends, having to start all over. And I remember like after my mom left and I had to stay with my dad, like it was my first year of high school. And I didn't want to make friends. Like I was like so over it. I knew how to make friends. I was very social. Like I was really kind, but I started to become more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to lose that, that spark that I originally had. And I started getting bullied, but at that point I didn't really care because I knew I'm probably going to move schools again.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and yeah, like it was a lot to process as a kid. And it was hard. I think I blocked out a lot of it. So I don't remember exactly how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand.
Yeah.
How would you say, like, it's so crazy, this podcast is about you, so I'm not going to share, much of anything on my end. But what I can say is like the phone call that you had to make to waking up to abuse, to alcohol, to, the way that your father was, like, man, all of that, I can relate to it so much, right? And it can only make me ask you, like, how did that ever impact you as an adult? Like not having my father around impacted me. I just told somebody the other day, it impacted me more as an adult than it did probably as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So like for you, how much did all of this chaos and, everything that was going on, the switching schools, the bullying, how much of that played, a role as you're growing up?
It impacted everything. Like the way I thought, I deserved to be loved, the way I looked at life, the resentment, the hate I had in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And, I accepted being misused and being, hurt. And it led me to meet the wrong guys who would treat me poorly. And I thought, like, man, this is how I'm supposed to be treated. This is how my mom was treated. This is what love is, And the way I looked at life was completely upside down.
That's so good. Not good that happened, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that you're saying that somebody just told me this last week, and they were making me go back to what I saw in my home. Like, okay, what did the relationship with your father and your dad your father and your mom look like? And then they asked me, what's the relationships that your mom with their siblings? What does that look like? And it's so crazy that what I saw was literally how I saw what love is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes transactional,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I never knew. I knew how things from the past can make you think or how make you see things differently, like how it happened in your case. And we're going to dive
Mm-hmm.
into that in 1 second. But like it happens like unconsciously, I feel like.
Yeah.
Right?
Like you don't realize it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she made me realize that. And it was just one of those moments where it was like, I just couldn't believe it. And then from there, it went into, okay, well, this is why you act the way that you act when people do this and X,
Mm-hmm.
Y, C. And she made me realize something that you just made me realize is that a lot of this stuff unconsciously does affect us as we get older,
Mm-hmm.
And it made you look at these relationships that you were in like, no, this is normal. This is what love looks like
Mm-hmm.
based off of what I saw. So you were around like 12 years old. I know you were mentioning about like a move to Texas, but before we get to Texas, while you were living in Kansas with your stepmom and your mom and dad, was there any like church for you throughout this time?
No.
No? Okay.
My stepmom, her name is Julie. And she doesn't talk about God. Like, I don't think she doesn't say that she's an atheist, but I believe she's an atheist. when I did find Christ, she was like, you're one of those people now, like that's the way she views Christianity and God and all of that. So there was no talking about Jesus or God or faith or religion in the house, being with her. And even with my dad, like their marriage was pretty cold. They didn't sleep in the same bed. My dad worked night shift, and they were more like roommates growing up. That's how I remember their love. Like, I don't remember my dad loving anyone. My mom and my dad got divorced before I could even remember, and this whole time he's been married to Julie, it was very disconnected. Like, I didn't see them be affectionate to each other. It was mainly Julie who was raising me, taking us to the movies, taking us out to eat, buying us stuff, And with my dad, it was more transactional, like he would buy me things if things were rough, if he felt like I was being disconnected, or like if I wasn't in trouble, which I was in trouble all the time. So it was more like transactional love with my dad. And but being with Julie, she was very kind-hearted, very open book, and she loves animals, like, a lot. I grew up with 14 dogs, being with her.
Wow.
Yeah, 14 dogs and 2 cats.
I had a heart attack.
I about did, and at first, as a kid, I loved it. One of my dogs was on the canine search and rescue team, so I would help training. I would be the victim and hide miles away, and the dogs would find me. I just remember sitting in the woods with a little, those little portable TVs and eating snacks, waiting for the dogs to find me. Yeah, I used to love it, but like as a teenager, I'm like, man, I can't stand this. And now as an adult, I'm like, man, I miss that. So she was very kind-hearted. She had her own rescue organization. We're always rescuing and fostering, and then most of the time it turned into adoption. So I love animals, and that's mainly because of her. But being with her, we didn't talk about God. It was more about animals. Yeah.
Julie is the one from England?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys really didn't talk about God, but she still showed you a lot of love.
Oh, yes.
Right?
100%.
Leading up to Julie, I mean, how much love do you think, or did you see love at all? Do you feel like you knew what love was, like with even the relationship that you had with your mom? I know you talk a lot about, the relationship with your dad, but what about your mom? Did you ever feel loved by your mom? Did you ever, feel loved by your father, by your siblings, or anybody else besides Julie growing up?
Yeah, of course. Like, with my mom, like I was a mama's girl. Like, I love my mom. I was always close to her, and I think that's why it hurt so much when she did leave.
Oh, okay.
Because she knew how close I was with her, and I wasn't as close with my dad. And she gave good love. I think she was also learning how to be a parent, and so I look at it differently now. But as a kid, I was like, man, sometimes, and it's hard to say this. It's just like sometimes it was hard being her daughter, with her being drunk all the time. It was hard bringing friends over, because she was out all the time,
Really?
and yeah, it was just, it was embarrassing sometimes. But I never told her this. I never wanted her to feel like I was ever ashamed of her, because I'm not. That's my mom, and I love her so much. And seeing how far she's come with God in her walk, it just blows my mind. And even my dad, now we have this relationship. He believes in God. He goes to church. Yeah, God is so, so, so good. And just throughout this process, I know my dad gave me love. It was tough love. My mom gave me a lot of love. And my siblings, we're siblings. That's crazy love, I would say. Fighting one second and hugging the next. So, and just as a child, seeing adults being in love, it was, I didn't really see that very much,
Me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither. So it's kind of like hard for you to get an idea of what it should look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you go. I know we're going to talk about, your mom's relationship with God and your father's too, and you say like God is so so good, and like I got goosebumps because I just feel this sense of like gratitude from you,
Mm-hmm.
like being so thankful,
Yeah.
that God was able to move like that or has been able to move like that in your life and in your family's life too. Especially because you say that you've seen, your mom, whether if she was, drunk or in front of your friends, it could have been sometimes embarrassing, but yet you still, never told her any of this. And it's so crazy, how much damage
Mm.
alcohol or any kind of substance can do,
Yeah.
and I'm always, thankful that at least I was able to get out of it because it can be very, very tough,
Mm-hmm.
to get out.
Yeah.
In between that time where, you go to your dad's and, you're with Julie. So how long were you in Kansas until you have to make that move? Because I know you didn't want to make the move to.
Well, I never did make the
Oh,
move.
you didn't make the move.
No, I
Okay,
stayed
okay.
in Kansas.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Being stubborn.
I
Didn't
was
move.
I was pretty stubborn. So my dad left to Kansas, and
Okay.
I stayed in Kansas with Julie. And I would say those were some of the best years of my life
Beautiful.
because it was the last time I moved to schools. It was my sophomore year, and I stayed there until I graduated. And I made some of the best friends that I have to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very grateful. I learned how to sing. My choir teacher was phenomenal. And, he had a great heart. He was very, very talented. He knew how to, to get to each of us and to bring out that potential that he saw in us. And it was amazing. I learned how to sing in ways that I probably wouldn't have known today if it wasn't for that choir teacher. And his name is Mr. Walker.
Mr. Walker. Shout
yeah.
out to Mr. Walker.
Yeah, so that was the best school I ever went to, and yeah, and I made a lot of great relationships there.
This is high school.
Yeah.
So I think this is a question for me because it's either going to kill my hopes or I'm going to have a lot of hopes. Okay?
Okay.
So when it comes down to singing, is this something that you believe that you're born with, or is this something that somebody can teach you? If you have a little bit of,
little
you
bit
got
of
a
both.
little, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
little bit of both.
Okay.
I think most of my family can sing.
Really?
Like my sister, my brother, my mom, my aunts.
Really?
Yes, like we're just gifted with that. So I think part of it is you're born with it, but also I think with the right techniques, the right practices, and the right determination, you can definitely get there.
And so where was singing going on, in your household with your mom, your aunts, and your family? Like, where would they sing? Was this like holidays or?
Yeah, I would say mainly like holidays, karaoke nights. It wasn't really like worshiping or nothing like that, but blaring the radio as loud as they possibly can till I couldn't feel my ears. In the car. That's how I grew up. So music was a big part of our lives. Yeah.
That's beautiful. My family, like I have an uncle who can sing like really good.
Yeah.
I got some aunts who can sing, and bro, just like your story is just like almost like very, very, very similar. It's so crazy. What about, okay, so you were in high school.
Yeah.
My high school days were crazy, because I started drinking when I was like 14.
Man.
Were your high school days pretty chill? Or how was your life throughout high school? I know you said there were like the best moments.
Yeah.
So besides that, I don't know if, throughout your high school years, were you going through like any kind of troubles or anything? Was it pretty stable?
I would say it was the most stable I had growing up. Just more because I was so into school. I loved school. I was in plays. I was, doing choir. I was doing as much as I possibly could. And I played the drums growing up. So, like, I was in band. And it was good. Everything about it was good, except for, the way I thought I should have been loved by boys. And I think that's what ruined that part of my life. So I had met someone, I would say he was my high school sweetheart, and he was not good to me. It was more transactional love. It was more a lot of cheating, and I kept forgiving him, and we dated for about 3 years, even after high school, and I even moved in with him. I was like, man, this is the one. Even if he cheated on me, even if he's, talking to all these girls, like, I was so dumb.
Yeah.
I was so naive. I was like, man, this is the one. And it got to the point where it's like, man, I need to wake up. And you can keep forgiving someone, but you can only take so much, Like, you can forgive, but you're not going to forget. And that messes with your brain. That's going to change the way you look at people. That's going to change the way, like, you think about life, your insecurities. And, I dealt with that my whole life, And I know Pastor Osway, he literally just talked about it this Sunday. He was like, you can't say my whole life I've been depressed. It's like, man, okay, I don't want to say my whole life, but I feel like most of my memories, I've been insecure. Like, most of my memories involve depression, So, man, I love Pastor Osway. He gives it harsh, real love. But I would say, like, that part of my life, I would say I was happy, but I was definitely insecure because of the boy I was with at the time.
What was the reason that you kept, like, just taking this guy back and taking this guy back? Like, do you remember exactly what it was?
I think
or like, what made you think that he was the one?
Man, I think I was just lying to myself. I was like, man, he's not going to do this again. There's no way, and this is my first love. This is my high school sweetheart. Like, we're going to be together forever. You think you're going to be together with your first love forever. And I feel like I was just so naive. And it got to the point where, like, he was, talking to girls I was working with, and it just, I didn't want to feel dumb or stupid anymore, And so one day I called my best friend. I left, and she helped me pack all my stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm out, And doing that, I knew the consequences that I was going to be facing, because at the time when I did turn 18, me and Julie fell out. I wouldn't say I was rebelling, but I just became very distant to her. I was smoking weed already, and I just wanted to be with my boyfriend, and so I know she wanted the best for me, and I just didn't see it at the time, and we fell out. And when I did leave my boyfriend, I was already 18, and my best friend who had helped me move out, she was like, well, let's find a place together. So we find a place together, and, a few months later, me and her are not doing too good. I found out, my ex at the time was messing around with her. And at that point, I'm like, man, we're living together. I don't know what to do. And so she had a boyfriend at the time. I was like, you know what? He can live here, and I'm moving, because I'm not going to sit here and be lied to. Like, I'm not going to take that. And the way I found out, like, man, you were like my sister. You helped me move out of my ex's house while you were messing around with him. And it just looked at, I just looked at everyone differently. Like, I had so much hate in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just lost for words. It's, I'm just listening to your whole story, and it's just like one thing after another, after another, after another. And I feel like it's just a lot of, like, heartache, going on, in your life. I mean, you're talking about all of this that's going on, up to you're 18 years old. You leave, your boyfriend, and then you find out, they're together with, your best, or your sister, pretty much, that helped you moved out. What what did that feel like? I know you say a lot of hate and you were seeing people different, but was it just more so like I just can't trust anybody at this point?
I wouldn't say like I couldn't trust anyone because I have such a trusting heart. Like I come into things with trust.
Mm-hmm.
It is until you lose my trust where everything like I start questioning everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But when I meet someone, I come in with trust. Like I come in with an open heart, an open mind. And like I will never lose that. That's just who I am, you know. And just I just looked at life differently. Like I had a lot of hate in my heart, and it was hard for me to forgive. But whenever I did have new relationships, it always started with trust. Like I never lost that.
So you're 18. Mm-hmm. Where do you go from there?
At that time, I didn't have any family in Kansas. You know, half of them moved to Puerto Rico. Some of them were in Texas. You know, I couldn't move back with Julie, like my best friend. You know, that fell apart. And at the time, I was working at Panera. And I was just couch surfing. Like, I didn't have a home. And the food that I did have was from my work. You know, so I would take food home to make sure, you know, like that would last until I go back to work. And I was homeless. And it got to the point where I started like sleeping on porches. You know, if the person that I would sleep on their couch, you know, if they weren't home, like I would at least walk to their house, sleep on their porch, wait till they get there, you know. So I didn't have a home. And, you know, that's at that point, my mom had already gotten stable. She was living here in North Carolina, and she was like, you need to come here. Like, you don't have nothing there anymore. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, you come here, we'll get you a car, because I never had a car. You know, I had to walk from school to work, you know, to wherever it was I was going to be staying that night. And she was like, we will get you on your feet. And I was like, okay. Yeah, so I came here to North Carolina.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And this is not even like all of it.
No. It's like the tip of the iceberg.
But it's your mom that brings you here.
Mm-hmm.
So where's your mom at with everything that she was going through? And then when she calls you, like, is she still in the same place, like with everything that she was dealing with, or?
No. So when she had left to Puerto Rico, her and they got divorced. Mm-hmm. And she had met my current stepdad, which is Juan. And that's like my dad. Like, he's been there since I was 12, mm-hmm. you know, and he was there through everything, like my graduations, he gave me, you know, my first car. Like, he is my dad, you know. And he's been there, you know. So they met in Puerto Rico and they moved to North Carolina. They got stable. And that's, you know, when they were like, okay, come here. Like, we'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. And I came here. They gave me a roof over my head. You know, I was able to transfer to the Panera here. So I had a job. He gave me his car. I had a car, you know, so I was grateful. Like, I got here.
You know, it's so beautiful to see how much gratitude you have towards him. Mm-hmm. And I can just tell, obviously, you know, how much it means to you. And I'm pretty sure that's just a little bit of what he's done for you, mm-hmm. you know, because it sounds like he's still in your life,
yeah.
you know, right now. What would you say? So you're here in North Carolina, you know, you're with your mom. She has a new or, you know, somebody that you met since you were 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where is she at? Like, is she in a good place? She's still drinking?
No, she's in a good place. She's not
like,
drinking.
At that time?
Oh, at that time?
When
yeah.
you came here?
So at that time, they were going to iChurch, which I don't know if you've heard of iChurch.
Is that the one in Hickory?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the, I would say that's where Casa Viva was originally born, I would say.
Yeah.
Because the Pastor Carlos is Pastor Josue's dad.
Yes.
So they were going to iChurch at the time when they, you know, got here. And they kept talking to me like, hey, come to iChurch. And, you know, I was like, no, like, I don't want to go. And and they were already walking on that narrow path, so they had God in their hearts. They were married, they were loving, like they have that affection, and I've been able to see that.
Bro, that's so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
before that, had you seen your mom before?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, before that moment, you would
I
still
would
see
fly
her?
here and visit, like, every now and then to North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was the moment when you noticed that change in her? Is it when you moved down here?
No, it was before that. I think what kept me from moving here was my boyfriend at the time. I was
Okay.
like, yeah, I'm going to be with him forever. I'm never leaving,
Yeah.
So I didn't want to come to North Carolina. Sorry.
It's okay. You're good.
So I didn't want to come to North Carolina because I felt like I had everything I needed in Kansas. But when I did come here to visit, like, she just seemed so happy, so full, like, so content, and just different. So, like, I had faith that, like, okay, she's good. Like, she's okay.
So you start going to church when you come down here?
No.
No? Okay.
No. So
You move down here, you're living with them, you're working at Panera. So what are you, like 18, 19?
Yeah, I think at the time I was 19 when I finally moved here. Wow, time's going by fast.
Yeah.
So they were going to church, but I think I just was still dealing with everything that had happened in my life, that I was very stubborn. Like, I told myself, man, I'm an atheist. Like, I don't want to go to church. Like, I don't know if I believe in God. Like, I don't know. But at the time, I didn't know what God was, who he was, how he loves. Like, I didn't know any of that. So I was like, man, I'm atheist. Like, I don't know anything about church, So they would always invite me, and I was very stubborn. I didn't want to go. Like, I would go here and there, like, okay, I'll go for, like, the Christmas thing, or, like, Thanksgiving, they're having food. Like, I'm going to go, So, but I didn't go into it with an open mind. So I was very closed off. And I was still not looking at myself, not as, like, I'm worthy, because none of us are worthy. But I looked at myself as, like, I don't deserve God's love. Like, I don't deserve any of this, So I was still dealing mentally with everything that I had gone through.
What do you think that made you say, like, that you didn't deserve it?
I think it's just because, like, I felt like I'm still smoking weed. Like, I'm still insecure. I'm still, like, I don't really know what love is. I'm still, like, hurting, still depressed, So, and I didn't want to, like, go to church. I didn't know, like, how to believe.
Or maybe even, like, how is this church gonna help me anyways?
Yeah.
But you would go just for the holidays.
Yeah. Or,
Okay.
like, special events,
Yeah, like
that they
Easter.
had. Yeah, like special events, So if they had food, I was going to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so how is your life like here? Yes, you're going throughout the holidays, church, and you're living with your mom. So what does life looks like after, throughout that time? Your early 20s.
At this time, I had met the father of my son, and he was not a nice person. At first, things, there were sparks. There was, like, wow, like, he's so kind. He's so nice. He told my mom he wants to marry me. Like, this guy is genuine, So he moved here from Puerto Rico to be with me. And, he didn't have family here, And so, like, a part of me, like, felt like, okay, I need to, like, take care of him. Like, I need to be here for him, And I felt like I put myself so below him that I let him treat me however he pleased. And I completely lost myself within that.
Was it just because you didn't want to lose him? Or like what do you think was it that like just put yourself below him?
I think most of it was guilt. Like, I felt bad. Like, he moved here for me. He left his family for me. Like, he has no one here. Like, I'm the only one who's here for him. Um, the job that he was working at the time, my mom and Juan gave him that job, to help us get on our feet. So I moved out of my mom's house to be with him. And, the first like 7-8 months were good. Like, they were good. He was kind, no anger, in his body whatsoever. But, my mom would tell me, like, you need to run from him. And at the time, I'm like, why? He's so good. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But she can see through people that in a way that I can't.
Right.
And so, I moved in with this guy. We're not married. And, I got pregnant probably about eight months after we met. And it wasn't until I was pregnant that I started seeing a different side of him. And it was very possessive, very obsessive, very narcissistic, very manipulative. And that's when I was like, dang, like, I'm already pregnant. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to leave, So that's where, like, everything started.
And what was that like your pregnancy once things turned around, or do you have an idea of maybe what caused that switch in him?
I really don't. And that's something that I ask myself, and I think about sometimes. It's like, what made him like switch? Is it because now he knows that I am his, because I'm carrying his child, because he feels like he has me locked in, and like, because before I got pregnant, it was completely different. He was kind, he was generous, he was like an understanding person, and then after that, he isolated me from my mom and Juan. He hated them. Like, he didn't want me to go over there. He hated going over there. He didn't like church. He didn't want me to go there. And, things eventually started, turning to emotional abuse, verbal abuse. And then, it got to the point where it started to get physical, and I had to call the cops on it. I had, at that point, my son, he's 1 or 2, probably around 2, and he's seeing his son, his dad hit me, So I'm like, okay, I need to get him out of the house, And so I call the cops, and they take him away. And at that point, I was like, okay, I need to leave. At the same time, I was like, I was still overwhelmed with that guilt. Like, he's not going to have anyone. No one's going to bail him out. No one is going to help him get on his feet. No one's going to be there for him. So I felt like I was being there for him in a way that, I couldn't be there for myself. And I was putting him first.
How were you feeling? So after do you get him out the house? The first time that it gets physical, or was this like something that just kept on happening and happening?
That was the first time. And I called the cops. Like, that was the first time I got hit by a boy, and
or a man.
A man.
Yeah, you're in your 20s.
Yeah, by a man, and like, I didn't want to accept it. Like, I was like, no. So I called the cops, and he was in jail. It was on a Friday, so he had to spend the weekend in jail. And I just remember thinking, I was like, man, I have to leave. But at the same time, I was being very stubborn. Like, I was like, I don't want to go back to my mom's. Like, I don't want to have to start all the way over. I feel guilty. Like, he moved here for me, so I forgave him. And I took him back. And it was like a vicious cycle. And as the years went by, he slowly isolated me more and more. And he told things to me that made sense at the time. And he's like, let's buy a camper. I'm like, why? He's like, so we can save up to buy land, so we can build a house, so we can start our life. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he's like, well, let's move this camper far away, so because we bought land. And he's like, we're going to start building this house. So let's move our camper. Let's live in the camper and move, an hour away so we can start building our house. And I'm like, man, that's far from my mom, but it makes sense, So we're an hour away from my mom, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't have anyone. And it just started getting really bad, really dark. We're smoking every day. He's very possessive. He didn't like me to dress up. He didn't like me to go out. Like, I didn't have any friends. He didn't like me having friends. He didn't want me to talk to my mom. I would feel guilty even talking on the phone with her because I knew it would upset him. And it was just very, very, very dark time.
Man, that reminds me a lot of, like in some kind of ways, my sister. Like, it's a story for something else, but it's like I'm listening to this story, and it's like you're telling a story of my sister in a way as well, and it's crazy. Like, what would you say? So you're out in the middle. You're an hour out, right? So where do you guys go from there?
Nowhere. He didn't want me to work. He was very possessive. He felt like if I started working, guys would hit on me. Like, I would find someone else, so he was very possessive. So I wasn't working. And at the campground that we were living at, they offered him like a position there to take care of the lawn care, and we would have rent free. So it was a good idea at the time. I'm like, wow, rent free. Like, we don't have to pay for water. We don't have to pay for internet. I'm like, okay, like, now we can start saving up money. Like, now I can start working. He's going to be home. He can watch, our son, and like, I can start working. And that's when he was like, no, you're not going to work. You're going to stay here. You're not going out. You're going to stay here. And at that point, like, my mom kept, hey, come to church, come to church, come to church. And we would go every now and then. Like, we would go, me and him and our son. And he was just very hostile. He didn't like people. He was very standoffish, very protective. I couldn't even say hi to anyone. And so he didn't like church. He didn't want to go to church. He claimed to be Catholic, but he didn't want to be Catholic. He just said he was Catholic, so I didn't have to go to Casa Viva. And it got to the point where it had gotten physical one night. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to leave, and it didn't just get physical with me, it got physical with our son. He had smacked him so hard that he left bruises, like a big bruised handprint on his face. Wow. I was like, that's my last straw. Like, our son has seen what you've done to me, but now you've taken it to a different level. And so that was like a big fight that we had. And I told him, I'm leaving. Like, I'm packing my stuff and leaving. And I started packing my stuff. And, this camper is small. There's only one way in, one way out. And so I try to leave, and he blocks the door. Like, he would not let me leave. And he had held me down. And I'm just like furious. I'm trying to get him off of me. I'm trying to get out, grab my son, leave. And he held me there until like he's stronger than me. I couldn't like push him off of me. I couldn't overpower him. So he had held me there. And at that point I was terrified. Like, I didn't know, like, is he gonna kill me? Is he gonna hurt my son again? Like, what is he gonna do? And I knew, like, I couldn't leave. And before that night, like, I had tried to leave once. I waited until he was outside. I took my son and went to my mom's, and he had showed up to my mom's with a gun. So I was like, okay, like, I don't want anything to happen. So I went back with him. And then this happened that night. And so I had to strategize it. I had to think, okay, how am I going to leave him? Because at this point, he's holding me hostage. Like, I can't even step out of the camper. Like, he's blocking me from leaving. He's holding me down physically. And so it was about 2 days went by, because it was on a Friday again. And it was Saturday night. And I'm just thinking, man, I got to think about what I'm going to do. So I knew that he didn't like Casa Viva. I knew that if I did go, he wouldn't come with me because of how much he didn't like it there. So that was my excuse. I was like, and when that thought came to my mind, I was in that tiny bathroom. Like, it was such a small bathroom. I was crying my eyes out. And I was like, man, what do I do? How do I leave this situation? How do I get out? And I fell asleep in the bathtub, and it was like that was the first moment that God spoke to me. He was like, go to Casa Viva. Like, you need to leave. You need to go there. So that was where the idea came from. And so I told him, I was like, hey, me and Daciel, we're going to go to Casa Viva. And I'll be back soon, okay? Like, I'll be back right after service. He was like, okay. Because in his mind, like, I don't think he knew, like, okay, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just took the clothes on my back, like a couple $100 and our only car, and I left. And I ran to Pastor Josue, and he talked to me so kind, so open-hearted, so understanding. And it was then when I was like, okay, this is my home. Like, I can't leave here. Like, this is where I belong. And I haven't left since.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've gone through a lot, and you think that, I speak for myself, right? Like, you think you've gone through a lot until you hear other people's story, and it's like, no, bro. People have gone through things. I feel like since an early child, you were going through a lot of stuff. And then here you are, in a situation that you were seeing as a child.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's you in it. You're the main character in the story now. When you go to church, you don't go back home at all.
No, I haven't looked back since.
And I'm pretty sure he was calling, looking for you.
Yeah. One of my mom's dearest friends, her name is Tabitha. She's just amazing. She was like, I'm going to prepare a basement for you. You can stay there, get on your feet. It was everything that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know where it was because I couldn't go to my mom's.
Right.
He was just going to find me.
Right.
He was just going to follow me. So I went to Tabitha's house. And the first night that I went there after church, there was a lot of people so kind and so good. They gave me clothes. They gave Daciel clothes, my son. People gave him toys, just to help us get on our feet because we didn't have anything. We just had the clothes on our back. And everyone was just so open-hearted and kind and welcoming. And after church, I went to Tabitha's to kind of settle down. And, I realized that I had needed something from the store. I don't remember what, but I went outside, and there he was. He had found me, like, the same night. And he had put a tracker on the car that I didn't know. And I remember I was so distraught. And even Daciel, he was so terrified. And he was like, hey, where are you going? Like, come back home. Like, you're not supposed to be here. Like, you need to come back now. And I just remember in my mind, I was in shock. I was like, how did you find me? And at that point, I had called Tabitha and her husband, David, and they called the cops. They were like, you need to get off our property. Like, you cannot be here. And the cops came, and they let him, leave.
Escort him.
Yeah, they escorted him. At that point, I knew I needed to get a protection order. And the very next day, I went to the courthouse, and I filed to get a protection order against him.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it was, and it's what's so like scary to me is that my son had to see all of that. And I'm still dealing with those consequences today.
In what way would you say?
Like my son, just this Sunday, he got in trouble in Viva Kids because he had hit a girl. He's sometimes disrespectful. He talks to me in a way that he should not talk to me. And I discipline him, of course, but I discipline him not the way I wanted to. Like, not the way my dad disciplined me, not the way, like, his dad disciplined him. I wanted to discipline him a different way because I feel like hitting is not everything, But after everything that I went through, I had to think, like, okay, I can't yell at him, Now he has ADHD, now it's hard for him to focus. Now he has trauma. Now I have to, like, talk to him in a way where he will understand, And so, like, I'm constantly dealing with that now. And thankfully, the husband that I have now, my amazing husband, Andres, he's been so supportive, so understanding, so kind, so humble. And he has been a big part of the help with the ACL that I have today.
And you deserve that.
I know.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
You really do. My father was abusive. I ended up doing the same thing. So I can see, when you say, like, hey, there's something that you have to deal with now. It's like my mom, having to deal with my dad and then having to deal with me doing these things to women.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
It does.
It does. When you go to church, you hear, before you go to church, you hear, God telling you to go to church, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're there. Was that like your first encounter? Like, when does things change for you?
Honestly, it was all a blur. I just remember God telling me I had to go to Casa Viva. And it, like, one of the times that when I was with my son's dad and we did go to church, but it wasn't iChurch. It was like, and it wasn't Casa Viva. It was like before it really became Casa Viva. Pastor pointed me out. He was like, one day you are going to be worshiping. One day you are, and this was 4 years before I even got to Casa Viva. He was like, you're going to be worshiping. Like, I see something in you. And I remember at the time I was like, what are you talking about? You don't know me. Like, yeah.
And he did it?
He didn't know me. Like, he knew my mom and Juan, but he didn't really know me, But he pointed me out. He put me on the spot. He's like, I see you. And at the time I didn't understand it, but now I do. Like, he saw my potential. God gave him that clarity to see, and he saw me. And the first day I went to Casa Viva, I was like, I want to worship. Like, I want to sing. Like, I want to do it. And he's like, there's a process. You can't just start singing.
A process.
You can't just start singing. You have to take conoce.
Yeah, they do.
You have to take the servants course. You have to audition. You can't just jump in there. You know. So, but that's how I came in. I was like, I'm ready. Like, I'm here. Like, I want to sing.
Why though? Like, what was it that you were feeling? Was it just like that need? Like, were you just like desperate for help? Were you like desperate for a change? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Like,
desperate.
you just needed something to change, like, ASAP. Like, you had just left this horrible situation. You're at the church and you're like, okay, I'm all in.
Yeah. It was like a desperate need of change. Like, because everything was 180. I started fresh. I'm a single mom. I started going to church. I don't know even, like, the first step on how to start believing. Like, I want to jump in it. Like, I need to know, And it was through that process, that jump, that made me realize and accept Jesus Christ as my Savior. Like, shortly after that, I got baptized. I understood what it felt like and the meaning behind worship, because before that, I only knew one worship song, and I didn't even know what it meant. Like, I didn't really understand the full meaning of it. And, I'm still learning to this day, still learning about the Bible, still learning about everything that God has done.
What does it mean?
It means being selfless. It means being on your knees, serving something so beautiful. And he is the definition of love. Like, that's what it means, to be loved unconditionally, passionately, to be forgiven no matter what I do, no matter where I am in life. Like, that's what love is. Like, he loves me. And that's where, like, I completely understood, like, okay, this is what it means to be loved. And I haven't looked back since.
Always say he's like the father figure I always asked for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, always, like, close my eyes and I look at myself running back every time I fall short. Mm-hmm. For you, when you take that step to get baptized, how far, what's that timeline from when you start going to Casa Viva to when you get baptized?
I would say it was about 3.5, maybe 4 months.
3.5 months.
Going there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were like committed. Like, yeah. I need to make this change. And during that time when you get baptized, what are the emotions that you're feeling? I know you feel loved, right? Because it's true. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter if you trip at times during your walk. Mm-hmm. He's loving you unconditionally.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it, before we got on here, but how you said he just like pokes your heart. Mm-hmm. He just like works on your heart and works on your heart. What's the change that you've seen, from, you've only been at Casa Viva, not only, but like 3 years, right?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. It's not a long time. I mean, it is a long time, but it's not like 8-10 years.
Yeah.
Right. But 2.5 years. So that time that you get baptized, where are you at that point in your life? Like, are you just like, man, I'm all in? You feel this awakening going on. You feel this call, because you didn't grow up in church. Mm-hmm. So it's literally like, just, you feel chosen. Like, he's just calling me to do this. Like, this is what he's instructed me to do. This is what I feel heavy in my heart. Is that when you decided, to get baptized, or what were those emotions that you were going through at that time?
I just felt this overwhelming sense of peace, like this calmness, and like I could accept, if he can accept me for who I am, I need to start accepting myself for what and who I am. Mm-hmm. Like, I was just so happy and content, and like I felt love. I felt like I need to let go of all that hate, all that resentment, all the struggles I went through. Like, it happened for a reason. I was supposed to go through all of that because it brought me to where I am today. Like, he put those challenges in my life because it made me the person that I am today. And without him, I probably would not be here.
So they say you get broken to get built back up. Mm-hmm. Right? They say he removes the crutches from your life so you can really rely on the sustainer.
Yeah.
And throughout your life, a lot of things were removed. Your mother, because of what she was going through. your boyfriend at that time, your father, your stepmom, Julie, your friends. Then you have this situation with your, the father of your child. And then he's like, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing, the only person you need to rely on. The only person that's going to love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
When you say that everything that you've gone through has a purpose, what sense does it make for you now? Because a lot of times at that moment, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there's a song that I listen to right now that says that you took away the thing that I had in my hand. And it says, I'm stubborn. I would have never have let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back at those situations and it makes sense to me now. Why he's removed things out of my life that moment I don't understand. And I make sense of it now, just like I told you.
Mm-hmm.
What sense do you make of everything that happened? Like, what has it taught you?
It's taught me courage. It's taught me how to believe. It's taught me patience. Because, it took me so long to get here. It taught me how to be kind to people who hurt me. And it taught me how to love differently. Not just other people, but myself.
In what way would you say?
Like, before, and, it's something that I'm still struggling with, but I can look at myself and I say, wow, like, you've been through so much and you have such a good heart. Like, I can look in the mirror sometimes and say, like, wow, you are beautiful. You are kind. You are good. And, like, you deserve this, But there are times where, the enemy's whispering in your ear, and I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, man, on the day, like even Pastor just preached about this on Sunday. And he was like, you can look in the mirror and you're like, man, you look ugly, but it's just because you're having a bad hair day. You decided to choose that thought the day that you wake up with a bad hair day, but like, it's just little stuff like that. Like I've learned how to appreciate me, how I deserve to be loved, not just from myself, but from others, especially from men, and through that thought process, through that process in general, with God by my side, He has given me someone so loving, so kind, genuine, patient, gentle, and I married him. and we got married in March 15th.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I'm happy. He's a great man.
You deserve it, like you said. You have a lot of women who struggle with insecurities. They don't feel like they're enough.
Mm-hmm.
They put themselves seconds in relationships. Like you said, they don't feel worthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the relationship with God is important, to help them, throughout those times?
Oh, 100%. It should be the sole thing, like the center of everything, of your marriage, of what you do, of serving, of being in church, all of that, your thought process. He needs to be the very first thing that you go to, the what you pray to. When you're hurt, you need to pray. When you're happy, you pray. You praise, you worship, you whatever you go through, like in life, like if I were to go through right now what I've been going through, I would be okay because I'm looking at it from a whole other perspective, because I know Jesus is walking right next to me. He's holding my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not alone. Like, it will be okay. He has a reason for this.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, it's necessary because, yes, you may believe in him, but you're still going to go through challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to go through it in a different way. You're going to look at it in a different way. And you're going to come out of it a different way.
Mm-hmm. 100%. What do you say to them? You know, for those that are going through those moments where, you know, there's women that look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, what you just said, you know, I look rough today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling it today, because sometimes it's not just a one-day thing.
Yeah.
It can be months, it can be weeks, it can be years where, you know, you have women who do feel like that, you know, and with you that you've gone through that, and maybe at times it still creeps back in, you know, what would you say to them to get them out of that hole?
God created us the way that we are. How we look, how we feel, what we do should be for him. And he created us with a purpose for us to serve him in a way that is so selfless. And in return, we get love that is unconditional, love that we never could have thought was real.
Mm.
Our first love, real love, genuine love. And those thoughts that are in our head, they're there because the enemy is whispering in your ear. And when you do have a good thought, that's God telling you something. That's God telling you, you are beautiful. You are made that way for a reason. And you're beautiful the way you are. Like that's what I've learned.
That's good. That's so good, because, I mean, it's not only for women, you know, it's for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all need to know that we're made in a way that is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
He made us and said, that's it. You good how you are.
Yeah.
Just how you came out.
Yeah.
Right? That's so good. You're in Casa Viva. It's been 2.5 years. Obviously, they don't let you just start singing.
No.
So you go through the process, which I love that they have. Because I told him I wanted to do something. He's like, you got to go here, and then you got to go here. And I said, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it. But you're finally on, and you're doing worship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Day one. You don't come from singing worship songs. So is the first song that you sing the song that reminds you of your walk? Or is there another song that reminds you of the beginning of your walk?
The first song I sang did not remind me of my walk. But along the way, I have found songs that were like, man, that was just for you. That hit you. Like that song was for me.
That's good, because you didn't know worship songs, right?
Mm-mm.
So you're hearing them as you start leading the worship, or as you're in worship at Casa Viva.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful, because the songs that we hear when we're at that time, we already went through our mess.
Yeah.
So now everything that we hear is like, that's my life. That's my story. Right? Which for me, there's one that says, you know, if you knew me then, you believe me now.
Mm-hmm.
He turned my whole life upside down. I think it's called Mercy.
Mercy.
I get goosebumps because it's true.
Mm.
He says, I'm living proof of what the mercy of God can do.
Yeah.
Right? And they have the Spanish one that I sent it to my mom. And I'll send it to people in my family because it's true.
Yeah.
Like, you're living proof, you know, and it's of what the mercy of God can do. And then that's when he says, if you knew me then, you believe me now. He turned my whole life upside down.
Mm.
What's that song for you?
There was one day, Pastor wanted me to sing a song. He was like, "The song is for you," and it's Even When It Hurts by Hillsong.
Okay. You gonna sing us a clip, right?
Yeah.
Even When It Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the song that,
It was like it spoke to me. Like,
the first song that spoke to you.
yeah.
Anderson, you ready? You're gonna have to come on Sunday so you can hear this, because I'll be front row listening. I don't think I've ever heard the song, but what is it called?
Even When It Hurts.
Even When It Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just hear a little bit.
Take this mountain weight. Take these ocean tears. Wash me in your love. Come like grace again. Even when the fight seems lost, I'll praise you. Even when it hurts like hell, I'll praise you. Even when it makes no sense to sing louder than I'll sing your name. I will only sing your praise.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
What is it about that song? Like, what does it mean to you?
Like, that song is about even when you're feeling like your fight is lost, even when you feel like it's won, you need to praise. Even when you have this mountain weight, like you are just drowning in tears, you are drowning in that water, you need to praise. You need to go to God. Even when you've won, you need to praise. Like, no matter what you're going through in your life, you need to praise, because He will fix it. He will make it okay. Like, He has you. No matter where you are, what you're going through, like, He has you. And He'll never let go. He won't leave your side. So when you feel happy, don't forget to praise. When you feel sad, praise for sure. And this song just reminded me, like, everything that I went through, I now have the opportunity to praise His name, to shout His name, like to sing His name. It has been a gift. It has been like an honor.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I learned in this season was praising while I'm hurting.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It is. It is.
Have you had moments like that? Or would you say not right now?
I've had moments where, like, it's hard to be on that altar, because being up there is, I'm one of the first people that people see, and I have to set an example. And I try so hard to be perfect. I try, so hard to live up to this expectation, but I'm just human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I fall, I fail.
Yeah.
And when I'm up there, it is the most selfless I feel. Like this is what I was made for. Like, I have a reason to be here. Like, and it's a lot of pressure, because, if I'm nervous up there, if there's oppression up there, everyone else can see and feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go up on that altar in a mindset that you need to let go. You need to just give it to God. if if you feel nervous about the lyrics, feel nervous about the notes, if your voice is going to crack, you need to just give it to God. Because if not, that's going to stay in your mind, and that can block the Holy Spirit from moving around.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's definitely pressure to be up there.
I bet.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, because I think without me wanting to, just myself, I do look at everybody up there differently, not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first started going to church, I wonder what their life is like. You
Same.
know? And you hear everybody's story, and everybody has a story or going through something. They're all being challenged. Pastor says it all the time. I'm being challenged too.
Yeah.
And I asked him, like a month ago, I was like, what do you struggle with? It's just curiosity that I have. It's like when my son asked me why. They're just genuinely just wanting to know. With your walk, as you're worshiping, at Casa Viva, and life doesn't stop life, and distractions or the world doesn't stop. What are those things that you struggle with? Is there things that you kind of just like slip up?
Definitely. Like growing up, all we listened to was reggaeton. Very bad music.
Yeah.
And like that was what I thought real music was. I didn't know worship music, so since I accepted Jesus Christ as my savior, like I know secular music is not good, because that just puts drugs, drinking, misusing girls and guys like in your mind, it puts those thoughts in your head, and it's not good. Sometimes though, like I slip, I find myself moving to the beat when I shouldn't be, like, and it could even be like a random song, like, and it's not like it's in my playlist, but it'll be random. I could listen to one song in worship, and the next time, like the next song, it's reggaeton, or so like, that's one thing. And just the way I think, having to learn how to be kind and forgive people, that's definitely been hard.
Yeah,
definitely. And I find myself slipping. Like I'm like, man, I really don't like that person, but it's like, man, I can't think like that. And smoking, all my life, that's hard. Sometimes I'll be walking around in public, and I get a whiff of it, and I'm like, man, it smells good, but I can't think like that, and it's just those things in my life that I really struggled with. It's always going to be tempting, always. That's always going to be, that's never going to leave. That's always going to be in your mind, because that's the way the enemy gets back into your life. So to think strong, to think with God in your heart, it's not easy. And people fall. We all fall, and I used to cuss left and right growing up, because, I thought it was cool. Thought it would make me look cool, But sometimes I slip. I can go a long time without cussing, but sometimes, like, if I'm really mad, it slips, And I see it, and I know when it slips, because it's in the very wrong moment, where it's in front of my son. He's like, Mom, did you say that? I said, I sure did, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, So, like, when you do fall, the enemy knows exactly when and where, because he knows it'll make it worse. Me cussing in front of my son, with how he is, he's going to go on the bus and say it, So I have to really work hard on those things. And it's never easy, and it never will be.
That's so true. There's like, for example, you said, okay, I'll cuss, but it wasn't when you were alone. It was when you were with your son. And I think, and it goes back to what Pastor said over the weekend in regards of just strategizing. They know exactly when. He knows exactly with who, in what moment, for you to slip up. And
and say these words that you would say in front of your son. There's another one that you said about like not liking somebody.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't like when that comes in my heart. But
Me neither.
there's a song that says open the eyes of my heart, Lord.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And I'm a big music fan.
Mm.
I love music. And these songs sometimes just hit me. But when I don't feel like I have that patience, when I feel like the frustrating stuff that I go through in life, when I feel like there's just something in me, like you just said, that I don't want to feel like towards somebody, but I can't get it out. That song hits me.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And I literally tell him, I play the song and open the eyes to my heart, Lord. And when you visualize, like, opening the eyes to your heart, to me, it's like spiritual surgery.
Mm.
You said he'll poke it. And I just see myself when I'm sleeping and he's just in there, just
Sewing away.
sewing away on my heart.
Mm.
I still got to leave a little things in there so you can work on it. You got work to do, sir. You ain't done cooking. I ain't gonna put you out the oven yet.
Mm.
What's that song for you? That you would say that, whether if it's when you fall short, if it's music, when you feel that guilt, when you feel the enemy slipping in, or when he's slipping in your heart and he wants you to have some kind of negative feeling towards somebody, right? What's that song?
I would say Give Me Jesus.
Give me Jesus.
Now, this song is pretty new to me. I think it's by Upper Room. But this song really spoke to me. And we haven't sang it for church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not for like Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
We sang it, I sang it for one of the youth nights.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why have we not sang this on Sunday yet? Because this song, the honor it gave me to be able to sing it, not just in church, but to the youth, to see how they reacted and how heartfelt it was. It touched me in a different way.
What does it mean before you get into the song? Like,
so Give Me Jesus means you don't want anything else. You just want him.
right.
You don't want anything that you can dream of. Doesn't even compare to him. Like, no money can compare to him. Nothing that you have thought that you ever wanted comes close to him. All we need is Jesus. Like, just give me him. That's all I need. Like, I don't want anyone else. I just want him.
And what did you feel when you heard that song or when you sung the song the first time?
I cried because I'd never heard it before. And all the songs that we sing, like, they're all new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And this one really spoke to me because sometimes I find myself like, I'm like, man, I need more money. Or man, I need this. Or I need that. Or I want this, I want that. But I don't really like think of how selfish I'm being in the moment. And this song just reminds me, like, you need to be selfless. Like, all you need is God. All you need is Jesus. Like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will provide.
Okay. How does it go?
I don't want anything but you. You're more than every dream come true. Now that I've tasted of your goodness, nothing else will satisfy. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus.
Come
Yeah.
on.
That's a good one.
Come on now. There was a lady that was sitting behind me at the first church I used to go to. She would always say, come on now. Come on now. And I feel her, because when I hear these songs, like when I hear you, I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
come on.
that came from him.
Come on. So beautiful. You spoke to me today, and we're going to have to do a part 2 because his cameras are dying.
That's okay.
But I just wanted to thank you for walking us through your story. Everything.
Yeah.
Being
you.
open, sharing a little bit of songs with us. Sharing things that you struggle with. Just opening literally your life to us. Because as you notice, my eyes were watery. I would cry,
Mine too.
and it's because it really touched me. Your story really did touch me a ton. When you speak about, forgiving, when you speak about desiring things that we really don't need. And just really, I put myself like, I may not be up there singing, but I also hear these songs for the first time.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about 2.5 years. It's been 3 years for me. It's about the same. So I'm hearing these songs for the first time and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like that one, you going on repeat.
That right there.
You going on repeat. And I got the same song I've been playing for the past couple of days. And it just makes me just break down. I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
for
me.
opening up your heart. I'm very happy for you, for where you are right now in your life. You deserve all the love,
Thank you.
that your husband can give you, that God can give you, that your son can give you. And I'm just excited for you. If this is what 2.5 years looks like, I can't wait for 3.5 years, 4.5 years, 5.5, 6.5.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And I can't wait to see you on Sunday and hear you sing.
I can't wait to see you too. Now I can put a face to a name.
I'll be right there, probably crying with my Kleenex. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor, and I'm blessed to have been here today.
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you, my brother. It's a wrap.